New Zealand won't open for tourism before reaching herd immunity through vaccination.
Here's a summary of the article.
New Zealand is not open for tourism. Only their citizens and permanent residents are allowed entry to the country. Australian citizens and permanent residents who ordinarily reside in New Zealand can travel to New Zealand. On March 26, the Australian government announced a change in their law to allow New Zealand citizens to freely come back. Opening up our borders to our nearest neighbor is a priority not only for tourism and business but also in terms of reuniting friends and families, but opening up a travel zone with Australia, without quarantine, is highly complex, said New Zealand Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern the same day. New Zealand's Prime Minister has said that the country will need to reach herd immunity levels through vaccination before any foreigners are allowed to visit. New Zealand is one of the safest places to visit during COVID-19 due to its low infection rates. The Lowy Institute's COVID Performance Index has ranked New Zealand as the world's most effective COVID-19 pandemic handler.
This post received a score of 12,000, with an upvote ratio of 96%. Here are the top comments in response to this article.
We doing whatever in Texas LMAO.
You're doing whatever it takes to distract you from the failed infrastructure and the corruption of your ag.
What failed infrastructure? Oh, you mean the power outages that killed people. The news has moved on as intended, so we're not worried about that anymore. Didn't you hear? There's brown people knocking down our border.
There are no words to describe the simultaneous can't help but laugh humor and stomach-sinking, visceral horror that I feel every single day being an American citizen. We're just so fucking dumb and incapable.
Yeah, I literally laughed out loud, ha ha ha. Brown people at the border sound the alarms. This should be every country's goal.
We decided to try diverting COVID funds to promote tourism since we're doing absolutely amazing by July 2020. The same idiots that made that decision were dumbfounded when we had some of the worst world numbers per capita a few months after this idiot's plan. Electing people that believe in science and trust the experts over their own gut feeling should be the goal of every country.
Florida spent $5 million on tourism ads, more than usual, and now in Miami there's packed beaches, bars, streets and restaurants filled with maskless kids and they had to implement a curfew.
Just to be clear, they didn't implement a curfew due to COVID. The curfew was due to widespread crime.
An observation. People who abide by mask requirements, vaccination, and social distancing are less likely to take the risk of spring break in Miami. The opposite, anti-mask crowd who think COVID-19 is a hoax is more likely to flout the laws. Cue high crime muskless Florida.
Sociopaths Pathan.
Wow, imagine living where logic and caution prosper.
They just passed a bill approving paid leave after miscarriage. They've even got spare capacity for compassion.
Greater than 3 days of bereavement leave, that's a bit sparse. Couple that with only 6 months quite low paid leave after birth, huge housing cost, piss poor wages and NZ is still good place to have kids, but not fantastic.
That's the legally mandated minimum. Companies are free to give as much, on top of this, as an employee benefit as they see fit. For example, one of my old companies, in NZ, gave unlimited paid sick leave, although with the within reason caveat, when the legal minimum is 5 days per year.
Tell this to my company asking software developers to return before even being vaccinated.
Any company that did better productivity-wise during COVID really needs to reassess their office work policy.
This video was automatically created by Reddit to speech. The article and comments in this video were selected from Reddit according to their upvotes, and any paraphrasing was performed by smmry.com, without any human intervention.